Thank you for spending part of your Tuesday here with us on First Take. Your boys, Skip Bayless.
What's up?
All right.
How are you doing, man? Good to see you.
You know,
how are you?
I haven't seen you on TV enough lately. That's
I
the
know.
problem. So I'm happy you're on TV now with me, and I get to share the stage with you.
How many
This
sports
is the
centers
first
were you
for
on, literally?
Yesterday,
6,
17.
Well, I expected to show up for the 6, but I didn't expect to be on the whole hour and a half practically. And then I did obviously the 11, and I did the overnight. It's the NBA playoffs.
Then
it
you
comes
did
to the territory.
the 6 a.m., the 7 a.m., the 8
I did not do the
okay.
6 a.m. 7. I did Mike and Mike this morning.
You did.
I did Mike and Mike
Ratings
this morning.
I can't blame them. All right, we ready to do this?
Let's roll.
Okay, we have a series, my friends. The Raptors pulled even with the Cavs, becoming the second team to tie up a series after being down 2 games to none against a LeBron James team. The home team has won all 7 games between the two teams this season. Stephen A., what's the biggest reason that the Cavs lost?
The biggest reason. You know something? I look at it, and last night, I'm looking at LeBron James, believe it or not. Yes, he had 29 points. Yes, he hit 11 of his 16 shots. You're universally recognized as one of the top 2 players in the world. Your conditioning is off the charts. I will give it that you played 46 minutes. The fact that the last 5 minutes and 28 seconds, you attempted 1 shot in the 4th quarter. After overcoming an 18-point deficit, taking a 2-point lead, having a 2-point lead, and all you need to do is hold on to it. And one of the world's greatest players attempts 1 shot in the last 5 minutes, 0 shot attempts in the last 3 minutes, to me is inexcusable. Now, you can look at Tyronn Lue like Brian Windhorst did and said, you know, that's coaching. Plenty of coaches have made this mistake in the past where they ride LeBron James and they play him. They ride him till the wheels come off and they play him too many minutes. That might be fair because he might have been fatigued to some degree. You could look at J.R. Smith and his Statue of Liberty defense when he let Kyle Lowry blow right by him in the last 22 seconds. You could look at Kyrie Irving and J.R. and Amon Shumpert, who had threes rained in his face time and time again because Kyle Lowry was just burying shots after shots after shots. You can look at DeMar DeRozan and his mid-range game and the fact that Cleveland collectively as a defense gave up 30-plus to both guards in the backcourt. That usually does not happen. You can look at all of those things. But in the end, and you can certainly look at Kevin Love. You know, I mean, this guy riding the pond in the 4th quarter, he might have got tweaked an injury or whatever. That wasn't why Tyronn Lue sat him down. Tyronn Lue said he didn't. Tyronn Lue literally said, I didn't know. I didn't know whether he was injured or not.
Yep.
I just thought Channing Frye was playing better. He's the $113 million man, and every time the 4th quarter comes around in pivotal moments, there's an APB out for him. Where the hell is he? You can say all of those things. But it comes down to my man LeBron James. Because if you lose him by 15 or you lose him by 18 like you did on Saturday, I understand. But when you overcome an 18-point deficit and you have a 2-point lead, that's your moment. So when you have Kyle Lowry guarding you, you have to take advantage of that matchup. The dude is practically a foot shorter than you. You have to take advantage of that matchup. Another occasion when you've got Carroll guarding you, letting Kyle Lowry come from behind and steal the ball to go in, not for a layup, but ultimately get fouled and missing 2 free throws. That's a problem. That's very Karl Malone-like in that particular moment, okay? Well, you know, when Jordan stripped him in the finals. You just can't let that happen. We all know how much I love and respect LeBron James, but you can't let that happen. To me, I look at that, and I look at that as the biggest reason. I have to look at him because you're the best player, one of the top 2 players in the world. You have a 2-point lead with 5 minutes left, and you don't even attempt to shoot in the last 3 minutes? At no time did a shot go up? That doesn't make sense to me. None.
Did I just hear come out of your mouth what I think I just heard come out of your mouth? Was that the sleep deprivation talking? Should I call the nurse? Should we get Nurse Nancy in here to check your temperature? Are you okay with what? I mean, for me, this is the big one. Elizabeth, I'm coming because I'm coming. Yes, because it's never happened before.
It's happened
Stephen
before.
A. Smith just opened First Take by criticizing his man, LeBron James.
I have to.
Who deserved every last word you just heaped on him. Because I am so with you, but I thought I was going to be the lone wolf again. I was ready to disqualify myself and say, well, I'm such a critic, but I cannot tell a lie. And you stole my thunder in a great way. I'm so proud of you. I appreciate what you just did. Because this was classic. This was all-time classic, baffling, frustrating LeBron James. And from my heart, because we both picked Cleveland to win that pivotal game last night. Yeah. Now it's a series, obviously. I'm rooting for LeBron. And over those last 5.5 minutes, if I may add a couple of quick details to what you just laid out for everybody, he was mostly guarded by 6-foot-tall Kyle Lowry.
Yes.
Wait, he's 6 feet tall. Some give him 6'1". I don't think he's
6 feet.
He's 6 feet tall.
He's 6 feet.
Okay, LeBron, as you often say, 6'9". So let's say there's 9 inches there, and little Kyle is fighting like the bulldog that he is down in the low post. And I'm saying, LeBron, just wheel on him. Just wheel on him, because I know Biyombo's going to come and help, but you can't keep LeBron James from the rim or from the free throw line at that point. And it's not like the last minute of free throws. This is 5.5 minutes. If LeBron wheels 3 times and gets 6 free throws and makes 4 of them, it's points. They're crucial points. I have never seen anything quite like this since the NBA Finals when he melted down. And by the way, Dwayne Casey just happened to be the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Mavericks when that happened. So Dwayne has seen this in larger context than we saw last night. But to your point, Richard Jefferson scored a dunk with 4:53 left that gave Cleveland a 2-point lead. As you said, they had exploded on Toronto. They had made their first 11 shots.
Led by Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye.
Which is, that's pro. This is a point for Ty Lue. He just said, heck with you, Kevin Love. I'm done with you, Kevin Love. Again, I keep saying they have 2.5 men on that team, as in 2.5 stars, because Kevin Love is no more than a half star to me. I'm sorry, I tell you that all the time, and that was classic case. Remember, in those first 8 playoff games, Detroit and Atlanta, he had 8 straight double-doubles. And now over the last 2 games in Toronto, he has totaled 13 points and totaled 11 rebounds, and he just disappears. Okay, so we get that. And we also get it that Biyombo has badly outplayed Tristan Thompson. I love Tristan Thompson. So they have switched roles, because Biyombo was not to be found in Cleveland in games 1 and 2. But look at this. In these last 2 games in Toronto, Biyombo has 40 rebounds and 7 blocks to Tristan's 17 rebounds and 2 blocks.
That's right.
Well, that's badly outplayed, right? And they're kind of the same guy.
Even though it was sort of even last night a little bit, because Biyombo got some late rebounds, but he had 26 rebounds in game 3.
I get that. And we all know that Cleveland has lived and died by the 3, because for the first 2 series, they were on a record playoff pace in making 3-point shots.
Right.
And now they've gone 41 attempts and 41 attempts, and they're making 33%. Well, you know and I know that can get you beaten on the road when you only make 33% of that many attempts. That's a lot of shots,
a lot of them are forced. They're contested.
Forced.
They're
I agree.
contested. They're not open.
By the way, Biyombo actually went out and blocked JR's 3.
That's
that was
right. Yes,
big.
he did.
That was a
yes,
huge
he
play.
did.
Okay, so now let's go back to that moment. 4:53 left. You're up 2. You have taken Toronto's crowd in large part out of the game. It's about to be 3-1 Cleveland in this series. We would both agree would be completely over, right? And where is LeBron? And I counted the touches. From that point on, LeBron, and he had made a basket just before that. That was his last basket that he made. He touched the ball 11 times over that last 5-minute period. Of those 11 touches, he missed 1 shot, a drive shot that he just shot too hard off the glass. He had the 1 turnover when Kyle stripped him, right, more in the backcourt.
Right.
He had 1 rebound, and he shot 0 free throws in the last 5 minutes. That game is begging for LeBron to take it over and close it. Now, back to Brian Windhorst's point. Is it fair? Okay, I'll give you this. When you are a 13-year veteran and you are 31 years of age and you have played all but 2 minutes of the first half, and then you play every minute of the second half, and obviously every minute of the fourth quarter, is it fair to say you just flat out ran out of gas in the last 5 minutes? Maybe, but this is the one where you suck it up. Who's the best player on the floor? Come on, is it even I mean, it's LeBron James, right? This is where you suck it up. You reach down, whatever energy store you have left, and you say, I'm going to close this deal, because if you close it, this series is virtually done. And you can take it easy the rest of the way, or at least easier the rest of the way when you go back home to finish them off. And he just, I don't know. He's just kicking the ball back out. It's on. At first I said, is he mad at Kyrie? I don't think so. I mean, there's nothing going on. He's just not being assertive. He's being passive.
Well, let me say this. Let me interject. Because on many occasions you have people comparing him to MJ or comparing him to Kobe, saying he's not them. And then they say, you know, and I've always thought that was unfair. Then they say, well, he's more like a Magic Johnson.
Yeah, all right.
Here's my problem. Magic Johnson is not doing nothing for the last 5 minutes.
He would not do nothing. I agree.
He would do something.
Right.
And what I'm saying about LeBron last night, and this is just one game. You understand? This doesn't impugn his greatness or diminish his greatness in any way. But my problem is, again, listen, I had John Saunders texting me because he's Canadian, and like, you apologize to Canadians everywhere because of what you said, and it got me on it, and Jay-Z's texting me and talking about, this is all your fault, and Chris Rock is sitting up there talking about, it's like Mike Tyson, because he was looking at Tyronn Lue, said a superstar, every great superstar that's won championships had great coaches, you know, and just like Mike Tyson, he had a great trainer, and then he got rid of the trainer and brought his boys in the corner.
Wait, they're down on Ty Lue?
No, that's what Chris Rock was talking about. He said you had a great trainer. You get rid of the trainer, you put your boys in the corner, and you go from knocking people out to getting knocked out. So those are analogies that I had to deal with all night. And I'm looking at LeBron, and I know that people are inclined to look at Tyronn Lue. I'm saying if you're tired, then that could be the reason why you missed. It could be the reason why you made mistakes. But when you don't even attempt but one shot in the final 5 minutes. Damn it, if you can run up and down the floor, you can get a shot off. And especially if you got Tyronn Lue, I mean Kyle Lowry on you. So I'm looking at it, and I am judging the Cleveland Cavaliers with championship expectations. I am looking at them.
Like 3 days ago, we're saying they're the favorites?
I'm looking at them, and I'm taking Toronto for granted. And I'm saying, is that going to beat Oklahoma City or Golden State? And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. If you look, DeMar DeRozan doesn't shoot threes. He shoots twos.
You know what? I got to say real quick.
Go ahead.
You know, I love LaMarcus Aldridge shooting two-point jump shots. He's one of the best. Listen, my man Kawhi is really a good two-point shooter. But this guy, he can't shoot a three, but he is really good.
His mid-range game is elite, no question. But he was in attack mode.
He was.
Kyle Lowry was in attack mode. And I'm looking around, and I see no response. And not from the big three that counted. Even Kyle Lowry, when they were making the run, it was Jefferson, it was Channing Frye. So I'm just saying, is this going to get it done? No. There's no way that's going to get it done. And we will and it's just like I said earlier. It is one thing to believe in a team. It's another thing to find. It's one thing to believe in them. It's another thing to find them dependable. You can believe in Cleveland because of their talent. Can you depend on them? No, because you can't trust them.
Yeah, I agree.
Can't trust them.
Okay, so big picture, explain this to me off that fourth quarter. The good news is Cleveland made 11 straight shots. LeBron made 3 of those. LeBron chipped in with 2 other free throws.
And then went 1 for 10.
Okay, then you go 1 for 10 down the stretch? How do you do that? Like, that's confounding and dumbfounding to me. I'm not sure I've ever seen that in the same quarter be that hot to that cold.
Because the game was tight. You come back from the deficit. You overcome an 18-point deficit. You take the lead, right? But Toronto wouldn't fade. Once you came back, now they were going tit for tat. So when they were going tit for tat, the pressure mounted.
Yep.
And as the pressure mounted, they started forcing shots.
Yep.
And started forcing plays. And that's what happened. Then Channing Frye missed a couple of shots as well. So the people that got you there, when it really, really counted, nobody could deliver. J.R. Smith was missing shots. Channing Frye was missing shots. LeBron James wasn't attempting shot. Matthew Dellavedova, a wide open three and an air ball. That talk about Brick City. I thought he played for Portland for a second. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I don't mean it that way. I'm just talking about the acronym.
I got it.
So I'm just saying to you, I looked at that. The only person that made a shot was Kyrie, and that was after Toronto was pulling away. So, again, you look at Cleveland, and it's just dumbfounding because they have the talent. You can believe in the talent, but you can't trust them.
Okay.
And that's the problem.
And I thought after games 1 and 2, we could not trust the Toronto Raptors.
That's right.
And I got to say this for the record, and I tweeted this late last night.
That's apologies.
Toronto showed me something last night.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, they totaled, what was it, let's see, 67 points, the most the two of them had ever scored in tandem. That's big time. That was a big time
Well,
game.
you know what they proved? They proved, A, that their all-star stature was valid.
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, what I told you about Kyle Lowry, who I've known back from his days in Philadelphia. I covered this dude. I wrote an article on him when he was in high school. Covered him at Villanova.
Okay. Well,
he's a pit bull, man. He got a lot of heart, and now he's got a jump shot to go with. I mean, look, I got to give credit where credit is due. They deserve it, but still in all, Cleveland still came back from an 18-point deficit, had a lead. If you tell me I got a 2-point lead with one of the top 2 players in the universe with the ball in his hands and the lead, I'm going to put my money on that. And it didn't happen.
No.
It didn't happen.
All right, we'll leave it there. So yesterday, obviously, we were discussing Draymond Green. Would he get suspended? Well, he will not be. The kicker flail that stole the headlines of the Game 3. That was the right decision. What do the guys think will get?
Draymond Green was really more of a flail, and the legs and the arms flailed, trying to sell a call, really, at the end of the day. And we see players do that from time to time. And unfortunately, in this particular case, he made accidental contact, and that's the way we viewed this. We've seen a lot of flails, over the course of the years, and we've seen Green do that too. So look, this warranted more than a flagrant one, but just didn't quite merit a suspension in this case.
That was NBA Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations Kiki Vandeweghe explaining the decision on SportsCenter to Scott Van Pelt to fine and not suspend Draymond Green for that kick in the groin area to Steven Adams in Game 3. Stephen A., were you happy with this decision?
I was ecstatic because I don't want any excuses. I want Golden State or Oklahoma City to win or lose fully loaded. I don't want anybody gone. I don't want anybody injured. I don't want anybody suspended. I don't want anybody prohibited from playing in the game. And I understand that there are people out there that are saying it's not fair. Rules are rules, and you got to follow the rules. Well, you know what my man Jeff always tells me? Fair is a place where they judge pigs. It doesn't exist. And I don't give a damn about fairness. I give a damn about making sure. And when I watch the Western Conference Finals tonight, I see a team that's fully loaded. Now, again, I'm not condoning anything that happened. I don't believe it was intentional on the part of Draymond Green. I believe that he's always flailing. He's always kicking his legs. He's always trying to sell a call, and I think that was the situation here. Now, those who believe otherwise, I can understand how they would believe that seeing the play, but if you don't know for sure, if there's a scintilla of plausible deniability, then I think that's something that has to be exercised and entertained, and ultimately you can't suspend them for this game. And I was proud of the league office with Adam Silver and Mr. Kiki Vandeweghe reaching that conclusion because I thought it was the right conclusion. Having said all of that, Draymond Green ain't off the hook now. He got to play tonight, but he's played like straight garbage the last 2 games. Guys are blowing by him. He's not rebounding with abandon. He's got a grand total of 16 points in the last 2 games. of a Western Conference Finals. That's not the guy who was registering more than a dozen triple-doubles for us this season. He's got to show up and play the way that he's capable of playing if Golden State is going to beat Oklahoma City. But if they can't beat Oklahoma City, I wanted it to be with Draymond Green on the court, not off the court. And the fact that he's on the court tonight for Game 4 makes me very, very happy, because I always thought there's several rules that, you know, everybody looks at me, I'm a Knicks fan, and remember when former Commissioner David Stern, great Commissioner David Stern, suspended Patrick Ewing and a bunch of players with the melee in Miami and all of this other stuff. I have always held that against David Stern. I always thought the rule was absolutely positively idiotic and stupid, where if you stepped over the line, all of a sudden it was automatic suspension. You ain't even involved in any fisticuffs or anything like that. You just reacted and then caught yourself and stepped back. But damn it, you stepped over the line, so you got to get suspended. I always thought that was asinine. And I'm glad to see that the league exercises common sense and is very judicious in its approach, because we all know if it was David Stern, not only would Draymond Green have been suspended, he'd have been suspended yesterday by 9 in the morning. This stuff that comes down in the 6 o'clock hour, actually 7 o'clock, came down at 7, you know, when people are home for work, going home from work, and they don't have their cell phones on them, and they don't have to take calls after hours, so you don't have to answer the criticism. We all know why they take so damn long, but David Stern wouldn't have cared. He would have made that decision by 9 in the morning. He's suspended. He's not playing, and that would be that. I'm glad that was not the case here with Adam Silver and the NBA. I applaud their decision. It was the right call. Now, if Oklahoma City wants to be the man, let them go out and beat the man.
You know, I told you yesterday, you were speaking more with your heart than your head. And seriously, from my heart, I appreciated that, because I am very conflicted about this, because you know how big a fan I am of this game. I'm an NBA nut. And like you, I am very happy that Golden State will be at full strength tonight for what should be a pivotal,
it's their season,
must-watch, do or die, here we go kind of a game. It's going to be the most important game that we have seen yet in this NBA season, played by any teams, right? This is it tonight. So do I like it that Draymond Green is in the starting lineup? I do. But here's my takeaway. I thought the NBA, in the end, sacrificed what's right for what's best. And when I say what's best, best for the fans, best for the players, best for their broadcast partner, who is in this case obviously TNT. For the sake of the entertainment business that they're in, that's what's best. What's best is to overlook this. What was right was to suspend Draymond Green for an obvious kick to the privates. I'm sorry, it was just blatantly right, but I get it. So if we're back to what's best is to keep Draymond in tonight's starting lineup. So what was best for Kiki Vandeweghe and our new commissioner was to wait all day long until the 7 o'clock hour, let it bleed into the night, and I knew it. I was with you. Like I knew if we didn't hear about this before noon, he's going to be in the starting lineup. And then it was up to Kiki to spin this and sell this, as Draymond was flailing, trying to sell the call, and he made accidental contact. I'm sorry, that's baloney to me. I don't see it. I don't think a lot of people see it. I don't think most people I respect saw that. But in this case, it wasn't that the NBA is protecting a superstar, but I don't think either one of us would call Draymond a superstar.
He's not a superstar.
But he is an extremely important part of a team that won an NBA record 73 games. It's a star team with the most popular player in the NBA right now. Is there any debate about that? It's Steph Curry, right? He is a back-to-back MVP. He is a unanimous MVP. And so I believe the NBA, for the sake of entertainment, made the decision. I think they made it 2 nights ago, you know, like right after the game. We cannot suspend him. He's too important to this game, because this team is too important to TNT. It could be an ESPN if we had that game also. But going forward, it's just too important to our entertainment product to keep Draymond afloat. So, Stephen A., I sit back and look, by tonight we will all have forgotten this, but I got to tell you, as a fan, it also leaves me sad for the NBA. It just does, because it's a bad look. No, it's a bad, sad look that what should have been done wasn't done. I was with Jeff Van Gundy, and he said it on last night's broadcast, I was in the realm of, this isn't just a one-game suspension. This could be two. And Jeff said, I didn't know if it was going to be a one- or two-game suspension instead of a no-game.
Well, we all know I'm very fond of and I respect the heck out of Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson and those boys. I disagree with all of them, and I disagree with you, and I don't care what anybody has to say. First of all, it wasn't that obvious to me in terms of his intent. It was obvious what happened, but it wasn't obvious as it pertains to his intent. That's point number one. Point number two, I see former disciplinary czar of the NBA, Stu Jackson, coming out making sure his voice is heard, all right? And he's talking about how...
Everywhere.
He's talking about how he would, it's nice. I know he wants a TV career. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he gets it.
He's very good on TV and radio.
I actually like him. I like him as a person, too, okay? But here's the deal. I disagree with him. I recall Serge Ibaka hitting Blake Griffin in the groin in 2013. If I remember correct, I think it was like March of 2013. Stu Jackson was the disciplinary czar then. You know what Stu Jackson did to Serge Ibaka? I believe it was a $25,000 fine. So you know what? I understand everybody.
I'm hazy on the play.
I'm hazy on the play as well. But my point to you is that it's all subjective. And to act like, listen, I don't believe it was intentional, but I understand and respect the fact that I'm in the minority. There are a lot of people that disagree with me, and I get that. My attitude is this: how is it bad to do what's in the best interest of the game? Now, when you sit there and talk about it's right or what's the best interest, I'm sorry, damn it, we matter. Last time I checked, those prices to NBA games ain't cheap. The television deal that they got with TNT and ESPN ain't cheap. It's worth billions. And we want to see the players play. You know what? And the fact of the matter is, let me also say this, Skip. On the football field, guys get to deal with each other. In hockey, guys get to deal with one another. In baseball, guys get to deal with each other. Even when they get suspended, they get to appeal and still be on the field, and they go out there until their appeal is heard and all of this other stuff. But in the NBA with the brothers, all right, something happens, and then all of a sudden you can't play. You out immediately, and you're not allowed to play until you serve your time. Damn that. I want to see the best players playing. I want the outcome dictated by the players on the court. And by the way, if that means I'm sacrificing doing what, quote, unquote, is right as in favor of what's in the best interest of all parties involved, the fans, the players, the organizations, the league, the networks, I'm sorry, the lives of the many outweigh the lives of the few. Spock said that, and that's where I'm going with this. I got no problem with it whatsoever. None.
Are you into Spock?
I like Spock. I like Spock.
I don't even know Spock.
A lot of references
I'm out.
today.
I like Spock.
All right. Your man, Mark Jackson, my man, Mark Jackson, also said last night, made this point. First of all, he called it a dirty play.
Okay.
And it was a dirty play. Okay. Now, he asked the question.
I disagree with all of y'all, but go ahead.
Pose the question, which I'm going to pose back to you. If Steven Adams had kicked, let us say, Steph Curry in the midsection, what would have happened? Same kick to Steph Curry's midsection. What happens?
That's absolutely true. He probably gets suspended.
Thank you.
All right? Maybe. But here's the deal, Skip Bayless. You're talking to the wrong man. See, I'm not Mark Jackson. I'm not Jeff Van Gundy. They're probably better than me in some respects, but that's life. Here's the thing. I'm not apologizing for the fact that, certain people get privileges that others don't. I'm sorry. Listen, if somebody sits up there and they act up on a basketball court and they get ejected, that's entirely different than LeBron James getting ejected. It's entirely different. If Kobe's complaining to the refs, for example, and Swaggy P, Nick Young is complaining to the refs, who do you think's gonna have more latitude? Let's stop. Can we please take our head out the sand, okay? In the media business, let's take the media business. You know something, Skip Bayless? Everybody ain't you, my man. You understand? They ain't you. You can get away with stuff most people can get away. I can get away with stuff most people can't get away with. You know why?
Explain.
Because they ain't us. They ain't us, okay?
I don't think I get away with a thing.
Oh, you must be crazy. Please. You?
Me?
You? Mr. Oh, you got to be crazy. You get meaning to high maintenance. You need to stop. Yes, you.
The guy who shows up and keeps his head down.
Really? Okay, whatever. The point is that everybody ain't us. And that's the way it is.
All right.
Listen, people who are stars, have star, I'm not talking about us right now, but who have star cachet, they get treated differently than those who don't.
Okay.
It's the American way. Get over it.
Okay.
Get over it.
Here's my issue with this.
So what?
Okay. Look, Steven Adams has had the reputation, some of it self-inflicted, of being a villain, like a wrestling heel, right? Over the last, you get any good texts?
Yes, I did, but I'm not going to tell you.
You want to read them?
No, I can't. Okay. I can't do that. I can't
Chris Rock?
Somebody just called out Stu Jackson, but I'm going to leave that alone.
All right,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So here's my point about Draymond.
Right.
I respect the heck out of his triple-double game. How can I not? He is a driving force, heart and soul player of this 73-win team.
Right.
But is he exactly an angel on the court? Is he a model citizen on the court? Do you see anybody in the league complain more blatantly to officials than Draymond Green does? He is in their faces like he gets away with near murder in the context of basketball.
I recall folks saying the same thing about Magic Johnson when he was playing. But he's Magic.
Well, he did it with a smile.
I see. So now
Draymond doesn't do it with a smile.
So now you got to have the right facial complexion.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to sell it. You have to be, be a PR director.
Listen, the bottom line is very, very simple. I don't see the intent that you see with Draymond Green. I am not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying I don't view it the way you do. I didn't view it the way Mark Jackson viewed it. I didn't view it the way Jeff Van Gundy did it. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. Do you know for a fact that it was intentional when there's various video out there showing how he tries to sell calls, flails his arm, flails his feet? There's plenty of video out there. Not to mention, again, there have been times like the Stu Jackson situation I pointed out from March of 2013 when the man sat up there and was in a position to evoke discipline and only fined Serge Ibaka $25,000. I got nothing but mad respect and love for Stu Jackson and you and Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy. I don't give a damn what any of y'all say. I respectfully disagree, and you can't definitively tell me I'm wrong. So if you can't definitively tell me I'm wrong,
you can't tell me.
I'm not telling you you're wrong, but I'm not telling you you're wrong. Okay. I'm saying you can't tell me I'm definitively
wrong. Well, how can I don't know
so
what's
let me finish.
Let me finish.
I don't know.
Let me finish. So because you can't tell me, you, Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, Stu Jackson, and others can't tell me I'm definitively wrong, that means there's plausible deniability. It's open for debate, and I'm going to roll, and I'm going to roll with keeping the team intact. So if Golden State goes down, there's no excuses. Tonight, you're fully loaded. There's no excuses, Golden State. Your season is on the line. You lose this game, it's a wrap. You ain't beating OKC 3 straight. What you gonna do? I don't want any excuses. I don't want any excuses. That's all I wanted. And Adam Silver and Kiki Vandeweghe gave it to me. And to them, I say, thank you very much for not messing with this game, period.
And just as Kiki said that Draymond was flailing, I think you're flailing with your argument. It's okay. It's okay.
How am I flailing?
How am I flailing? It's plausible deniability.
Hey,
please.
Listen.
Please,
hey, listen.
stop it.
Listen, do you know where I got the plausible deniability from?
From the Reagan
administration with Oliver Northern. It's all about plausible deniability. It's all about, can you prove it? Okay. Can you prove it? I can't prove it.
Last question.
I can't.
Last question. This occurred to me. What if Golden State had won that game and been up 2-1? Then what happens off that play? Does he get suspended if Golden State's up 2-1?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a very good question.
I have no.
Listen. I have no idea. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that, guess what, Skip? My position might not be as resolute.
Maybe not.
If they had won and they were up 2-1, because I don't want excuses. You see what I'm saying?
So we did this only in the best interest of the entertainment value of this basketball game.
Listen,
are you happy?
Hold on. You act like that is a thing. I'm sorry. Listen, excuse me. It's all stop it. Just sanctimonious stuff.
Sanctimonious. There's a lot of gray area here.
The world is gray. The world is gray. Okay, that happens sometimes. The world is gray.
Yeah.
All right? That's what it is. Clear and present danger. That's the line that was used in there with Harrison Ford. The world is gray.
I actually just read the book by Tom Clancy.
I read the book too by Tom Clancy. It was a very good book. But the world is gray, Skip. Sometimes everything ain't black and white. Sometimes it's gray. It's okay. It's okay. The best interest. Adam Silver and Kiki Vandeweghe made me proud today. Very good way to go, guys. Very good way to go. I'm very proud.
I've known Kiki forever, and I got to congratulate him on his spin doctorate.
Hey, listen,
it was really good.
Right,
it was beautifully done. I was impressed. I almost bought it.
I must admit, I actually thought I could have done a better job of spinning than Kiki. I thought Kiki could have done a better job of spinning.
Maybe.
He tried. He tried.
Maybe you have a second career.
No. Absolutely.
You're busy enough.
Absolutely, I'm busy enough.
You are.
If it was a career in the NBA, president of basketball operations for the New York Knicks, I'd do that.
You would do that?
That was it. That's it. That's the only job I would do.
Commissioner of the NBA?
No. No, I personally think the job is relatively boring myself.
From night to night, it's
No, I'm talking about being the commissioner, because you're in the office.
He likes to be out and about in the streets.
I want to be about.
You could go to every game. I want to
be about. But
shaking hands.
President of basketball shaking hands all the time. President of basketball operations for the New York Knicks. I do that.
And then you'd have the next Stephen A. Smith all over you every day.
I do that. I guarantee you this much: my job performance could compete with Phil Jackson's.
I would hope so.
I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. Yeah, I said it.
We'll leave it there. Shades of gray here on First Take. This next subject, some NFL news to get to, also gray as well. The NFL, have they been influencing concussion research? This could be a very bad look for Roger Goodell in the league. We will discuss it after the break. Stay here. A congressional report released Monday and first obtained by Outside the Line reveals that at least half a dozen top NFL health officials waged a behind-the-scenes campaign last year to shape the science around football and brain disease. The report by Democrats on the House Energy and Commerce Committee was sparked by an OTL investigation that raised questions about the league's commitment to health and safety. The NFL rejected the report, saying it was deeply disappointed. Allegations were directed at doctors affiliated with the NFL Head, Neck, and Spine Committee without ever speaking to them. Stephen A., what do you make of this?
What I make of this is that the NFL looks very, very bad. They can slice it any way they want to, and I'm quite sure there are nuggets of truth to what they're saying. We don't know all the intricate details, who communicated with whom, etc. But when you have congressional figures quoted by name on the record questioning the integrity of the NFL and their ulterior motives as it pertains to research involving CTE, knowing the history of the NFL with concussions and beyond, knowing the lawsuits that they're entertaining, knowing how they anticipate former players coming down the pike with these same kind of injuries, etc., to vow in writing and pledge in writing to give $16 million and then to renege on that offer. That's very, very bad. And then on top of it all, to be informed that if you don't follow through on your promise, that taxpayers are ultimately going to have to pick up the tab and still elect not to give the $16 million. It looks very bad. It doesn't matter that you threw $2 million to additional research and what have you. You tried essentially, according to them, to manipulate who the researchers actually are. That involves undue influence, which is what congressional figures were alluding to when they spoke about the absence of integrity on the part of the National Football League. And it transcends to so many levels because DeMaurice Smith certainly was going to pounce on this like a piranha. I mean, this is the executive director of the Players Association who just seems to be totally committed to bringing Roger Goodell down even more than doing his actual job as far as I'm concerned. You got a situation where he spoke out against it, and you're just saying to yourself, okay, it's valid. You can't dismiss those arguments. There is a dissipated level of trust towards the NFL and Roger Goodell on the part of the players. Eric Winston, the president of NFLPA, a guy that everybody respects and seems to be a straightforward kind of guy. He spoke out about the lack of trust that the players do and should have for the NFL. This does not look good, and it does not bode well for the NFL. And it transcends this particular instance because, as I said off the air to you, Skip, when you have something like this in our face and it speaks to integrity, issues involving the NFL, it doesn't just stop at CTE, concussions, etc. It also transcends to Deflategate. It also transcends to or transfers to other issues involving players where you're looking at the league as a partner and recognizing that you don't really see them that way because they can't be trusted. The NFL doesn't look good here. They look incredibly petty, and more importantly, they look incredibly, incredibly cheap, because what boggles my mind is that they're projected to make, when they signed the new collective bargaining agreement years back, they were projected to make about $18 billion annually. The owners themselves pocketed $226 million apiece from profits, revenue profits last year. We're talking about $16 million. You could have just gave them the $16 million and let them do their research. But no, you tried to manipulate it even to that point. It just shows how frugal they truly are and how committed they are to spending as least money as possible, which lends itself towards believing that they'll do anything to keep an extra dollar in their pocket, which does not look good for them.
You make some fair points. Everybody anti-NFL on this issue always makes some fair points. But I'm going to defend the NFL to a degree here. And I'm going to start with an eye-opening piece that I read in today's USA Today. Bear with me for a second.
Please.
Because it quotes the doctor who took the brunt of the criticism from this congressional report that we're speaking of. His name is Richard Ellenbogen. Okay? I don't know anything about him except from what I read in Tom Pellissero's excellent piece. He's quoted liberally in this piece. Richard Ellenbogen was the co-chair of the NFL's Head, Neck, and Spine Committee. So he's the point person for this who's taking a lot of this criticism. And it's based on two private conversations he had with the director of the National Institute of Neurological Disorders. Okay, so he had two private conversations that were made public by this director, I won't say his name, to congressmen who included this as the crux of their report. And Dr. Ellenbogen is quoted in USA Today as saying, "I never talked to Congress. No one ever asked me my opinion. I had two private conversations, and this is a lesson. I guess big government can crush you if you disagree with them. I'm trying to protect the kids," because this doctor, a neurosurgeon, has been on a long campaign in which he's gone to every state in the union to increase its laws to protect youth football players, because he worked on one who nearly died named Zachary Lystat, and he wants this called the Zachary Lystat Law. So he's fighting to protect kid football players, and he keeps saying, "I'll take a lie detector test that I didn't say to that director what Congress said that I said, that it was misconstrued and misrepresented." So the crux of everything you just said came from these two private conversations, according to this doctor. My point is, you say the world is gray. You just threw that back at me. This is pretty gray to me, because if you read these quotes, I'm like, wow, maybe there's some truth. The truth's probably somewhere in the middle of this.
Right.
But my point is, look, has the NFL strengthened its concussion protocols? Hey, yeah, it has, right? But here's the bottom line. Is the NFL a benevolent society? Is it a church or a charity? No, it's in the big business of pro football. It's fighting big government in Congress. And obviously, a lot of congressmen have leaped aboard the anti-NFL pro-concussion bandwagon that is rolling right now to please their constituents. They want to get reelected too, right? So this is a hot potato issue. A lot of congressmen are saying, yeah, we got to get the big bad NFL.
They did the same thing with the whole steroids era in Major League Baseball.
Okay,
You're absolutely right.
Okay, I got it. Because it's big government, big business NFL. And this is way over our heads in a lot of ways. But in the end, I look at what's happened in the NFL. Did they have a responsibility to inform every player? I've lived with this for decades in covering the NFL. So many players, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't I know? And sometimes, you know what I say back to them? Gee, shouldn't you have some general awareness that if you're putting on a helmet and you're running as fast as you can and hitting head-to-head with another player, a great athlete like you, that some bad stuff can happen to your head?
Well, let me tell you why I would respectfully disagree with you in some respects in that regard, in all seriousness. When you are an athlete you primarily think about things in the moment. You, when you're talking about absorbing and addressing the risk, you don't anticipate things affecting you down the road.
I got it.
If you survive while playing. So when they say to you, they're willing to embrace the risk. Skip, if you get your knee shattered, they understand. You know, you're going to get that, you might recover. You might not be able to play football anymore, but you'll be able to walk again. If you get your arm broken, if you get hit in the back pretty hard in spite of, they get that kind of stuff because the immediacy of the damage potentially inflicted is something they can absorb. But CTE, you know, that's an entirely different ballgame because what happens there is you're talking about decades down the road where residual impact can affect you. And what they're saying is, just like Will Smith did, and when I didn't just interview Will Smith on camera, we talked extensively off camera, and he was like, him and the director of the movie, it's like you have a right to know. And so when the NFL comes across as making a concerted effort to minimize your ability to know, that's where it becomes problematic. But I don't just hold them accountable. Once again, and it's hard for me because I actually genuinely like and respect DeMaurice Smith. But I hold him culpable to some degree. Now, some would say how? Because, again, it's labor relations, but then there's labor negotiations, but then there's labor relations. My goodness, I'm not trying to say Gene Upshaw was the best or the worst or whatever, even though my respect for the late Gene Upshaw, God rest his soul, has elevated exponentially listening to our former colleague here, Robert Smith, who is just the best. I miss him so much. This guy worked under Gene Upshaw, and you're talking about labor relations where you cultivate relationships with the NFL. So in some matters, you're working in concert with one another to assist the players outside the legal realm. But because everything is legal, the NFL, as wrong as they may be, like you say, in doing what they're doing, because this is a business, might be more receptive to involving you and working with you if they didn't believe every damn thing was going to turn into a court case.
Okay.
And that's part of the problem.
Do you want the NFL to get to the level that it finally says, hey, don't play our game, it's too dangerous?
No, but that's I don't know what the word for it is, but that's not genuine, and here's why. You don't have to say that. It's just like cigarettes, man. These are the dangers.
Yeah.
People gonna still smoke. These are the dangers.
But for a long time,
people know what you're dealing with.
But many years, people didn't know the dangers of cigarettes. But it was clear
that's not
that people were getting hurt badly in football.
But that's not what I mean.
Like from the start.
What I'm saying to you is that you can give all the warnings in the world. Okay? Like, you know, you talk about my sister all the time. Everybody know my sister Carmen. That's my ace. Love of my life. Carmen needs to stop smoking. That's her one vice, and it drives me crazy. She won't stop. Okay? You have people that ain't gonna stop doing that. You got people that ain't gonna stop playing football.
But we have a whole lot of players in their 20s who have walked away. God bless. That's your right.
And how many people are waiting to replace them?
Okay, well, that's what
game
we
ain't
just got a whole new
them.
crop of kids get drafted.
That's right.
And they have the right to say no.
That's right.
Nobody's going to make them play pro
football. But they also have the right to know
everything they're signing up
for. They have that right. In the NFL or the Players Association have no right in any way to assist tacitly, directly, indirectly, mistakenly, or otherwise to keeping it from them. They have a right to know.
Right. According to the NFL, a 32% increase in concussions from 2014 to 2015. Back to the NBA, though. Have you guys seen this baby? This is Steph Curry, and some are saying Steph looked a little more like Steph. He took over the internet in Game 3. Which Curry shows up tonight in Game 4? We preview it next.
But it's a new 24 now for Oklahoma City, and it leads to that. Again, a good look from Reeves. More box from behind. Here is Westbrook with the finish. So the Thunder will take a 2-1 lead, but they bounce back in a huge way and receiving a standing ovation.
The Thunder are looking to take a commanding 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors tonight. But Golden State will have to do something they haven't done all season, which is lose back-to-back games. The Warriors will have Draymond Green, who was fined, but not suspended for his kick to the groin of the Thunder's Steven Adams. Stephen A., Game 4, who you got?
Well, I picked the Warriors to win this series in 7 games. There's no way that's going to happen, in my opinion, if they lose tonight. So I have to go with them tonight. I'm not feeling good about it because what I'm seeing from Kevin Durant is something special. Look, Kevin Durant and I obviously had a difference at the beginning of the season. I didn't know we had a difference until he said what he said.
Yep.
We've never had a difference since. I know his brother. His mom is a sweet woman who's been on this show. And I'm here to tell you something right now. Regardless of his moments where he gets on the media or he gets an attitude or whatever the case may be, Kevin Durant is one of the best people you'll ever see in professional sports. He's got his head on right. He's smart. He's decent at his core. He's a good person. And I'm here to tell you something right now. He is a superstar. And the one thing that is a question mark about him is that chip, getting that chip. LeBron stood in his way, and LeBron tends to stand in his way in big moments. And I still believe Cleveland is going to the finals. Kevin Durant right now looks like the best player in the world. He's played better than Steph Curry in this series. He's played better than LeBron James has played. For the most part, he's had some relatively pedestrian games, but for the most part, when he explodes, he has exploded. Kevin Durant has been special. Steph Curry obviously got hurt in the first round against Houston, was still recovering in the second round against Portland. But Kevin Durant, from a consistent perspective, has been the best player in the world. I go so far as to say, Skip, that if I had to pick between him and LeBron right now in terms of starting a team, because Mike asked me that this morning, it would be Kevin Durant because he's a better shooter. Okay? With all of that being said, this is his moment. And I think that Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors have the capability to neutralize that. But it would have to be tonight. Steph Curry is the reigning 2-time league MVP. And often I have been asked this question. You make so much noise about him. He's the best shooter in the world, blah, blah, blah. So Stephen A., what if he got in some trouble? What's going to happen then? Golden State is in trouble now. It is code red. You don't win this game. I do not believe that the Golden State Warriors are coming back. It's not because of the 3-1 deficit, because we've seen comebacks from that in the past. I am talking about these dudes. Because, Skip, do you know anybody that has raved about Russell Westbrook more than me?
No.
This dude is the most vicious, ruthless competitor in the NBA, which Allen Iverson reminds me of every chance he gets. This dude, Russell Westbrook, is something special as well. And I don't know if anyone notices. Look at his eyes. Look at what he does the second Steph Curry is standing in front of him trying to defend him. I mean, he goes at this dude like nobody goes at Steph Curry. If Oklahoma City manages to go up 3-1 in this series and Golden State has to win 3 in order to beat OKC, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, I just can't see it.
Yep.
So the only shot to me that the Golden State Warriors have of defending their crown is to win tonight. And I have to believe in the character of this team and say, I'm going to pick Steph Curry and them to win tonight, but I also want to do that with a caveat. Not just about the greatness of Durant and Westbrook, but we about to find out about Steve Kerr, too. Because Billy Don, it wouldn't be a big deal if it was just about Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. But when you see Steven Adams and Enes Kanter hurting you one game, and then Serge Ibaka is at the 5 and you go small the next, that's coaching. And we're watching a guy in Billy Donovan that has evolved before our very eyes and is showing us all that Sam Presti probably made the right call in bringing this 2-time national championship coach from Florida on board. It's because of that that I say that about Steve Kerr. It's not that Steve Kerr isn't doing his job. It's that Billy Donovan looks so exceptional in doing his. Steve Kerr now has to come up with an answer for this. What are you going to do to answer what Billy Donovan is throwing at you? Because he's not consistent. He's throwing different looks at Golden State every time you turn around, Skip. What answer is Steve Kerr going to have for that? That is the question. And tonight we need to find out. Golden State can't lose tonight. They lose tonight, it's over. It's over.
So, I have been so wrong about this series so far, mostly because I got so over-emotional about my Spurs falling apart against these Thunder that I must be honest, I don't have great conviction about tonight.
That's
because
fair.
My heart keeps telling me, stick with Golden State for every case you just made. Because over the last 2 seasons, Golden State in this moment will rise and shine. This is kind of when you start to write them off, you better look out because Steph Curry will say no. And remember, this is not a great analogy, but last year in the playoffs, they were down 2-1 with Game 4 in Memphis. Remember that? Now, Mike Conley Jr. was hobbled. He was a little beat up. But that night, Steph said no. And Memphis got Steph at home, and that series basically was over that night. But they were in some trouble there, down 2-1 with another game to go on Memphis. That showed me a lot of Steph's character and this team's character that I think you'll see on display tonight. But now we're back to what my head keeps telling me. My head keeps saying that Oklahoma City will continue to impose its will the way it did the other night. And there's a little icing on top tonight, a little hot sauce on top, if you will. I think all the psychological motivation off Draymond being in the starting lineup and not getting suspended is with the Thunder. They're going to feel like they got wronged here. They got done wrong. And trust me, their fans will be in full throat about how they got done wrong.
No question.
Not that Draymond.
Those fans are great, by the way. I got to give credit where credit is due.
In there.
Oklahoma City,
Well,
being in that arena, I ain't too keen on being downtown.
Yeah. Hey,
but in that arena, it's big time.
Explode.
It's big time.
And Draymond's going to hear it. Not that he has rabbit ears or thin skin, because he does not. But they are going to be all over him, and they're going to be all over Golden State, and they are going to be pro-Thunder. Now, you know and I know the momentum of these things can shift like that spring weather in Oklahoma City can shift. You can have a tornado one moment, and all of a sudden it's 85 degrees, windless and sunshine the
Just
next.
like here.
Yeah, well, it can be. And so this could happen tonight, but I don't see it because of the Kevin Durant factor. And I'm with you. And I had one big issue with Kevin Durant a few years back, and without going into the gory detail about that, we have reconciled. We have... I like him a lot.
Kevin Durant's a good guy.
You know what?
Man.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
And right before your very eyes this year, I see him growing up as the leader of this team. I'm talking about the unquestioned leader of this team. I know Russell is the quarterback, and he's the guy with the ball in his hands for the most part. But I'm seeing real maturity in both of them, but especially in Kevin, that will manifest itself again tonight in ways that you talk about. Is he that guy you would build around? There have been 4 or 5 times a game over the last 10 games of these playoffs where Kevin Durant will make a shot where I'll say, that's just unguardable. Because he is so, I don't know how long. Is he 7'5" length?
Listen.
It's unbelievable.
6'11". Yeah. I don't want to hear the 6'9".
Yeah, I know.
I've stood right next to him. Kevin Durant is no 6'9".
Yeah.
Kevin Durant's about 6'11", and the wingspan's about 7'6".
Yeah.
And he's got a handle and can pull up from 30.
Hey,
and there's nothing to talk about there. There's nothing to talk about.
Sort of semi-break the other night when they had him on the run, and Kevin just dribbles the ball up the floor and just pulls up and just drains it.
You're finding,
and it was over, man. It was like game over.
Here's the beauty of it. We marvel at the greatness of Steph Curry, and he is great. He's the greatest shooter I've ever seen in my life. But Kevin Durant said something very, very profound the other day, and we all know it, but we never really say it because we don't think about it because we marvel at the shot makes that Steph Curry does. Kevin Durant said he makes a lot of bad shots. Very simple. But think about how, if you know the game of basketball, it's very, very complicated. Because on one hand, you want to give a cat respect for what he accomplishes, averaging 30, making the shots that he makes, etc. But the flip side to it is that you can't game plan for it because a lot of stuff breaks down and Steph Curry just comes to the rescue. But he's also taking shots that you normally are not supposed to take. Coaches usually have a heart attack, and there are players who would get benched just for taking those shots, even if they make it. People don't understand that. Steph Curry, the average player would get benched for attempting those shots, even if they made it. You wouldn't get a chance to make 5 or 6 or 8.
The coaches think the guy should be drug tested.
That's right.
What happened?
That's
you're
what
out of your
happens.
mind.
And so when Kevin Durant made that point, then, okay, you got to juxtapose that to a Kevin Durant. And what do we see? We see a guy fully capable of making perimeter shots because Kevin Durant is an elite shooter. But he shoots the right shots. He doesn't take a lot of – he takes contested shots, but for him, he's 6'11" with a 7'6" wingspan, so it's not that contested. Kevin Durant actually takes better shots. So you got to look at it from that perspective, and then that makes you understand and appreciate his greatness even more because he's playing within the confines of a structured system but still showcasing his greatness as opposed to having to go outside of the system in order to do it, which should elevate our level of appreciation for what he brings to the table.
Final point. When Golden State resorted to its what's called death lineup, its small lineup the other night, which usually saves them because nobody else can deal with it, Donovan said, okay, watch this. I'll go small. I'll play only Ibaka. As good as Cantor is, as good as Adams has been, I'll just go with Ibaka and my group, and I'll put Waiters in there with my 2 superstars.
Yes.
And guess what happened? Golden State got run off the floor. That's a bad sign for Golden State. So
not just Ibaka, Dion Waiters.
That's what I say, I mean, he's been really good.
Well, you know, and not only that,
it,
you ready for this prediction? If they make it to the finals, and it's Cleveland, because we don't know anymore if it's going to be Cleveland, Dion Waiters will play even better against Cleveland.
Yeah, he would.
Because he never felt like he was treated right there. Watch out.
It all goes down in Skip's hometown. Tomorrow's show is going to be fun. We'll react to all of that. But we also have a series in the East, as Stephen A. just alluded to. So last night, Drake cheered his Raptors to a Game 4 win. How much trouble is his buddy LeBron in now that the series is tied 2-2? We get into it next. Wednesday night on ESPN, it's Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals back in Cleveland with the series tied at 2 games apiece. Check it out at 8:30 right here on ESPN and also on the ESPN app if you're not sitting still. The Raptors pulled even with the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals last night. LeBron James was a no-show down the stretch, scoring 0 points and taking 1 shot in the final 5 minutes and 10 seconds. LeBron's teams are 7-5 in series that are tied 2 games apiece. Stephen A., how much trouble is Cleveland in?
Well, they're in trouble themselves because they still have home court advantage. They can protect their home court. But I think that Toronto's exposing a few things about them, and it's bringing into question who's going to step up with LeBron to produce. And a legitimate argument could be made that while I started off the show getting on them that you can't be the superstar and attempting just 1 shot in the last 5 minutes, a legitimate argument could have been you attribute that to fatigue. Another legitimate argument could be made that you're looking for somebody else to step up because you're trying to find out who's going to be ready to run with you because you still got 2 home games as a worst-case scenario in all of this. I'm just of the mindset that, again, Kevin Love getting benched in the 4th quarter is a bad sign. Channing Frye can make open shots. The problem is when he's out on the court and you know that he's there in replacing Kevin Love, he doesn't get open shots. He has to shoot contested shots, and it's a bit more difficult for him to make as the game wanes. Kyrie Irving scores, but it's usually at the expense of the team because he's dribbling the ball too much and not making the right pass and moving the basketball when he does score. And J.R. Smith is a model of inconsistency. I'll say exactly what I said about J.R. Smith after last year's NBA Finals. J.R. Smith and I go back a long ways. I've known him for years. I know I'm covering him with the New York Knicks. He is a guy that is absolutely electric when he's making his jump shot. absolutely non-existent when he isn't. It makes no sense whatsoever because he can go to the free throw line and make free throws. I do not understand why he does not put the ball on the floor and try to go to the basket and get fouled. But he never does. When he's missing his jump shot, he disappears. And so these are LeBron James' teammates. And as a result of that, and then you've got Tristan Thompson, who's as nice as can be and a workman-like guy who just got a huge $80+ million contract. And Bismack Biyombo is outplaying you 40 to 17 rebounding advantage, 7 blocks to 2 blocks. Really? Really? And so you look at it from that perspective, and I would say Cleveland's in trouble because even if you do win, you've allowed the Toronto Raptors to expose deficiencies in your game that the teams out west, either one of them, are more than equipped to handle. And last but not least, let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip Bayless is Klay Thompson or Steph Curry. Or it's Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. You can't neutralize DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, but you're going to go up against these brothers? Really? Really? That's what you're going to do? These guys? Now, no disrespect, because Lowry and DeRozan are all-stars, but they ain't those dudes. I mean, they both scored plus 30, and Cleveland couldn't stop them. If you're Steph Curry or Russell Westbrook or Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant, could you imagine how much you're salivating at the opportunity to go up against Cleveland, watching what we saw over the last 2 games? Could you imagine what it was like for them? Oh, my goodness, they'd be like, please let us get out of this Western Conference Finals. We got them. We got them. Look, they going to stop us. That's how you think it. It's a problem.
Okay.
It's a problem.
What happened last night? Ty Lue and Cleveland fell in love with the 3. They had lived and they had died by the 3, and they were going to live by it again. So who did he play down the stretch? He played your man, JR. He played Channing Frye. Can they defend either one of them? No, they cannot defend. So all of a sudden it was a mismatch to me on the other end where Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan suddenly were emboldened and empowered to get in the lane anytime they wanted to and make shots they shouldn't have been able to make and wouldn't make against a Golden State or an Oklahoma City. So all of a sudden, now back to Molly's question, are they in trouble? I don't think Toronto's game travels. That's just me because I don't think Biyombo traveled to the first 2 games. I don't even remember him playing in the first 2 games. So my point is, I think Cleveland will win easily at home in Game 5. I can't argue against Toronto winning a Game 6 in Toronto. Those fans are hyped too. You've been up there. I mean,
it wouldn't surprise me at all at this point if the series went 7 games.
We're going 7 games. And then, as we all know, anything can happen, especially if LeBron gets mentally and physically fatigued by Game 7.
That won't happen for
Okay, well...
if LeBron is in a Game 7 in Cleveland, he's not losing that game.
Well, okay.
That's not happening.
But
not to Toronto.
At what point does Dwayne Casey emerge as the best coach in the playoffs as he continues to figure out defensively what will work against LeBron and company? Because, listen, have you ever seen a team more embarrassed and humiliated than Toronto was in those first 2 games at Cleveland? I was embarrassed for them. It was a blight on the NBA playoffs. We were all over them.
You called their defense. You said mannequins.
Mannequins, but they were mannequins. Well, I don't have the paint.
No. I thought it was. I thought it was a very astute observation.
That was a good line.
But LeBron's the average length of shot was, what was it, 1.6 feet? You know, it's like he was just dunking.
All 17 of his shots in the first 2 games came from inside.
Okay.
Now you can't get on the inside.
Can't get on the inside. Okay. So will that travel back to Cleveland? I don't know. Would it travel back for Game 7?
Game 5 is pivotal because if you are Toronto, not only do you have momentum, you're playing with house money because the expectation is you'll lose Game 5. You know you've insured a Game 6 back in Toronto. And the mentality is that the pressure is on them because Cleveland doesn't want to come back to Toronto.
I agree.
Down 3-2. So Game 5 is going to be very interesting Wednesday night.
So I thought Valanciunas would at least give him another big body last night, and he didn't get off the bench. So I think they were sort of playing with the idea of, oh, you better be careful because Valanciunas is going to come back. Will he come back for Game 5?
You know what? Why? Why bother?
Because,
why not bring him back for Game 6?
Well, you could, because, again, this happened in Toronto. It looked like Biyombo was emerging as a star, right? As a shot blocker.
Well, listen.
Rebounder.
He's manning the interior
Yeah.
and completely dominating the interior. And he's getting key offensive rebounds. He's blocking key shots. He's even going out and defended on the perimeter, which is something Valanciunas cannot do. A matter of fact, Valanciunas really might hurt them defensively because the LeBron and them don't appear to be a threat. Remember, LeBron was the one that was a threat in the interior. It wasn't like Tristan Thompson or Kevin Love was scoring on the outside. So if you have Valanciunas in there, he can score on the perimeter, but he's not going to come out on the wing and defend because he's not as quick a foot and he doesn't have those defensive capabilities. Biyombo does.
Yep, he does.
And that makes things interesting.
Final question. Will Kevin Love continue to play like that little kid that he plays in the insurance commercial, you know, with the big head and the little body?
I love Nuggets.
But is he going to play like that little kid?
I love Nuggets. I just told him the other day, I do like the commercial with him when he's talking about that, when he's dancing or when he's talking about how he loves Nuggets. The only part I hate about that commercial is that DeAndre Jordan coming down with that damn dress. That bothers me. It's just me. It's just me, DeAndre. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's the goatee. I don't know.
Yeah, dropping dimes.
Yeah. Dropping dimes.
Throws you off a little. The costume choice there. We got it. All right, when we come back, Tom Brady will be heading back to court as the Deflategate saga continues. Does his legal team have the edge now? We debate it. Elsewhere, attorneys for Tom Brady filed a request for a new hearing in front of the entire 13-judge panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, arguing that the decision against Brady will harm not just NFL players, but all unionized workers who have bargained for appeal rights. Today marks day 492 since the beginning of Deflategate. Oh, Skip.
Oh, Molly.
How do you see this playing out?
I'm going to tell you how I want to see this play out.
I think we all know that.
Honestly, I want to see Tom Brady fight this all the way to the Supreme Court, and obviously I want to see Tom Brady win this at the highest judicial level in this land. And I remind you, as we mentioned yesterday, Tom Brady's new counsel, Ted Olson, former Solicitor General, has argued 62 cases in front of the Supreme Court, and he has won 75% of them. So I thought about what you said on the show yesterday a lot last night. You said that you were tired of seeing Tom Brady act selfish in this case, right? Is that fair? Was that the right word to use? Selfish? And you know what? That's exactly not the case here. Because if I'm any other NFL player paying my NFL Players Association dues, I am thanking my lucky stars that Tom Brady has had the resolve and the tenacity and, in the end, the willingness to fight this to the legal death, as I told you he would from the start. Because in the end, this is about defeating Roger Goodell's absolute and sometimes abusive power. You know this, and I know this. And if Tom Brady could go to the highest level, it's going to cost him hundreds and hundreds of hours of preparation for all these cases.
Of course, his lawyers, that he ain't preparing for.
No, he has to. Trust me. You
trust me.
This before.
I've been through it too.
I know, and you know how it goes. You have to, you know, you have to be interrogated and interviewed.
It is annoying.
It's annoying.
It's absolutely.
Trust me, Tom Brady's done. He's done more than his share of this.
I want to cuss everybody out when I got to waste my time with that nonsense.
But if Tom Brady could beat Roger Goodell at the highest level, you know and I know what would happen. Pandora's box would be flung wide open, and all of a sudden the commissioner's absolute, unquestioned, unrestricted power could be questioned for the first time ever. And I would love that, to see that happen. This is so much more than just Tom Brady's legacy he's defending. It's about attacking that absolute power.
Well, you view it that way. I can understand that. I don't. I do think Tom Brady is being selfish. because I don't think it's about his guilt or innocence, and I don't think he cares. I really don't. I think this is all about Tom Brady making sure that he doesn't miss any games. He loves the game of football. He doesn't want to be gone for 4 games, all right? And even
not when you think you're innocent.
Even a 1-game suspension in his eyes would attach a level of guilt to him.
Sure.
And that's not
so it is about his
that's not something that he's trying to do. That's fair enough. But again, I am one of those people who believes. He knows that people who believes he's guilty are going to believe it. People who don't believe he's guilty are not going to believe it. And then there are people in between like me who firmly believe it's much ado about nothing. He should have never received 4 games at all. But at the same time, don't tell me you had nothing, you had no knowledge whatsoever the football's being deflated. I don't believe that for 1 second. You may not have initiated it, you may not have instigated it, but you benefited from it and you knew you were doing it. That's my belief with Tom Brady.
Okay, and I believe just the opposite,
okay,
just for the record.
That's fine. Having said all of that, at some point in time, when you consider the millions of dollars this is costing the players over this, instead of you just cutting your losses and moving forward, that's fine. You don't want to do it. That is your right. Still makes you selfish, in my opinion, but it is what it is. Now let me get to your bigger point. When you talk about challenging the league, let me say this to you, Skip Bayless. And I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with that. All I'm saying is be very, very careful what you wish for. Because you see, whether it's Ray Rice or it's the Greg Hardy, which obviously is totally different than this, because Tom Brady has never been associated with anything so egregious. The fact of the matter is that those issues were off the field issues that didn't necessarily involve the league, but they players that are under their umbrella, and everybody's vilifying Roger Goodell because of how they handled it. That's not their level of expertise, but football is. And the number 1 job of a commissioner in any sport is to protect the integrity of the sport and the game. When you sit down at collective bargaining negotiations, whether it's prior to years ago when you had a special master, a judge appointed by the court overseeing collective bargaining negotiations and interpreting CBA language, or whether it's the league itself, somebody has to have dominion. And the owners, who are the ones who cut the checks, have dominion. And they appoint the commissioner, and they're the ones who pay the commissioner. And so when everybody talks about how, you know, to challenge Roger Goodell and to strip him of his power, let's be careful, ladies and gentlemen, what we're asking for. Because if indeed you pull off getting what you want, where the union gets to argue and engage in plausible deniability about everything, dudes being potheads, can't stay off the weed, domestic violence, drugs, DUIs, and all of this other stuff, albeit a small percentage of the league, maybe about 3 to 4% of it, not most, not all. The bottom line is they'll argue for anybody. They'll argue on behalf of anybody. When it comes to some of these unions, there appears to be no core decency as to saying, well, you know what? We can't defend this. There's no way to argue this. We're going to let this go. No, everything's a fight. So when if you get what you want, remember what you're asking for. I don't want to hear no whining or moaning down the line, because I'll be listening to you. You understand? I'll know where you are, and I'll be listening. And I'll be saying, wait a minute, I don't want to hear anything. I want to hear the nonsense, all right, when the commissioner doesn't have the power. If it indeed, I don't believe it's going to come to that, because I believe Tom Brady's going to lose. But if a miracle was to happen and he was to win, and the commissioner indeed gets stripped of that power, and everything turns into a fight where it's fattening the wallets of lawyers representing the union, and the union gets to argue about everything down to the color of your shoelaces, for crying out loud, and the commissioner is stripped of that power, I don't want to hear any whining when we look at the sport disintegrating before our very eyes because anarchy and chaos takes place. I'm not.
Disintegration before our very eyes.
Let me tell you what I mean. I believe, and I've always been this guy, there must be order.
I got it.
There must be order.
There cannot be a bully commissioner who, with extremely flimsy evidence, tries to ruin the reputation of the best quarterback.
But what is he bullying? And let me tell you something else that you haven't considered. Let me tell you something right now. Tom Brady could do what he wants to do. There's a whole lot of dirt. Hold on. Directors in my ear, wait. Let me tell you something. Tom Brady is sitting up there. There's a lot of dirt in New England. And when you go this far,
he didn't dig that dirt.
When you go this far, you may very well be digging up Pandora's box that's going to affect a whole lot of people. Tom Brady was there benefiting off of the transgressions, of the alleged transgressions of others.
They weren't his transgressions.
So how do you know? How do you know? You sure?
I think I know.
You don't know.
Okay, how do you know? Wait. How do you know? Are you accusing Tom Brady of being complicit in the spy game?
No. Here's what I will directly accuse Tom Brady of. Directly, Tom Brady benefited from any alleged transgressions that may have taken place. It may very well have contributed to his greatness. You go ahead and keep opening
so let's protect the great head coach at the expense of the great.
Talk about the head coach.
There's a little bit of a warning
Talk about the
here.
head coach. It could be others.
If you dig, you find dirt. My
All right?
told me that
How
many
about
years
that?
ago.
Keep digging. Keep digging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the NBA playoffs, shall we? Day 492 or whatever we are. Are the Warriors done if they lose tonight? Somebody at the desk doesn't think so. Stick around here with Steph Curry and the Dubs could still come back potentially from down 3 games to 1. The Thunder look to put the Warriors on the brink of elimination at home in Game 4 tonight. If the Warriors win, BPI gives Golden State a 67% chance to win this series. And if the Thunder win, BPI gives OKC a 79% chance to win the series. The last time that a team came back from 3 games to 1 in a conference final was the 1981 Celtics, before I was born, Stephen A. Who needs this win more tonight?
Like I said, the Warriors. OKC loses this game. It's 2-2. It's a back-and-forth battle. Neither team ever won 2 in a row. Golden State loses this game. It'll be the first time all year they've lost 2 games in a row. And it would also put them on the official brink of elimination, down 3-1. They can't afford to allow this to happen, in my opinion. Russell Westbrook is the most ruthless competitor in the NBA. He is a straight killer. And when I think about Kevin Durant, he's a sniper. Now, obviously, we look at Klay Thompson, we look at Steph Curry, we see what they can do. We forget that Kevin Durant is just some simple dude, 6'11", 7'6" wingspan, can pull up from 30, that just happens to average 27 to 28 a game. And with the exception of last season when he only played 27 games, when he averaged 25, by the way, he religiously averages better than 27 a game for like the last 6-7 years. This is Kevin Durant we're talking about. You can't go down 3-1 to the combination of him and Russell Westbrook with the way Steven Adams is playing and the way Billy Donovan is coaching. You can't afford to do that. Warriors lose this game, they're done.
Honestly, I see it completely upside down. I think Oklahoma City needs this must-win tonight. If Oklahoma City doesn't win tonight, it will lose this series, because Golden State obviously has 2 of the last 3 in Golden State. So Golden State would be better positioned and more capable of winning 3 straight with 2 at home than Oklahoma City would be.
Well,
because Golden State's done this before. I mean, they're the defending champions, so I trust what they're made of. I think I love what Oklahoma City is becoming, but they have not become yet.
Well, here's where you and I part ways. First of all, we both agree that whoever wins Game 4 will probably win the series. We're there. But the question is, who needs it more? What I'm saying to you is that who is in the most danger? If you lose tonight and you're Oklahoma City, it's 2-2.
Yeah, mathematically, Golden State.
It's not just mathematically, but even from a psychological perspective, the bottom line is you're 2-2, so it's the best of 3. If you are Golden State and you're down 3-1, you can't afford any hiccups. Oklahoma City can afford a hiccup.
Okay, but you do know you get to go back to Oracle potentially twice if it gets to Game 7.
Right.
So, and you've won at Oklahoma City before in the regular season, so I don't think Golden State would be completely out of it if Golden State loses tonight. I would fear for Oklahoma City if it loses
Well,
tonight.
of course, I would fear for them too, but not as much as I would fear for Golden State. If I believe Golden State, I picked them to win this series in 7 games. I believe they're going to win it. The only way they have a shot is to win tonight. I'm telling you, even if OKC loses tonight, they're still a very, very formidable threat. I'm making the proclamation that if Golden State loses tonight, it's over.
So you're there.
I'm there. I'm there.
Okay.
In other words, enjoy at the Oracle. Enjoy Game 5, everybody, because there will be no Game 7 if Golden State loses Game 4. They have to win Game 4 for me to even think about a Game 7.
Okay.
Because I cannot see Oklahoma City being up 3-2 back in Oklahoma City and losing. I don't see that happening. Not at Oklahoma City.
Remember
I
2
just don't
years
see
ago when my Spurs won Game 6 at Oklahoma City?
I hear you. Listen, it's not impossible. We're talking about Golden State here.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't bet my money on it.
Is Levita a Thunder fan or she's Spurs too?
She's a Thunder fan.
She's Thunder, so she'll be watching.
Definitely, yes.
All right. His mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, you just called her mama.
Yeah.
I never heard you call Mama Levine. What you doing calling Mama Levita for? She's
I
Mama.
don't. She calls her
She's
Levita.
Mama Bayless.
I don't. I never
Mama
call her.
Bayless.
Bayless.
Mama Bayless.
She'll be watching the
That's what
Thunder.
you call her
I
Mama
just
Bayless.
call her Mom, and I
Yeah.
talked to her last night, and I said, "Hi, Mom."
Oh.
I don't call her Levita.
Yeah.
Got it. I gotta go to
West
bed.
Indians and all of that
Which
stuff. We call her
team-
Mamita.
Oh, I love it. Well, which
Mamita.
team's the most talented in the NFC East? Is it Skip's Cowboys, maybe Stephen A's Giants, or what about the reigning division champion Redskins? We'll reveal that answer next.
That's an excuse for Skip to talk about the Cowboys.
NFL.com compiled the top 10 most talented rosters heading into the 2016 season. Now, keep in mind, this is NFL.com, Skip Bayless. The Giants,
right.
the NFL, the league,
Yeah.
came in 9th on the list, one spot ahead of your
What?
Cowboys, who got
What?
Ezekiel Elliott. And
What?
I mean, it was game changer all
You know
over.
what I say to that?
Just give him the Lombardi.
I just say baloney to all that, because let's break it down quickly here.
Oh, please.
My offensive line is clearly superior to
Yeah,
your
that's all you
offensive
have.
line. Ezekiel is clearly superior to, I don't even know whoever's going to play running back, because you
Rashad
don't either.
Jennings,
Yeah, you can have Rashad
Andre
Jennings.
Williams.
My receiving core is better than your receiving core. I got
Oh, it's
respect.
debatable.
I got respect
Debatable.
for that one guy, whatever his name is. But come on, yeah,
Is it
no,
Sterling
no,
Shepard?
no, the other guy, whatever his name is.
Oh,
that guy
Odell
who loses
Beckham.
his cool,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And finally, I will take a healthy Tony Romo over Eli any Sunday. That's just me.
Really?
Well, first of all, I don't appreciate this subject.
Why?
Because we're ending the show on a very sour note for me, because I have to agree with Skip. The fact of the matter.
Really?
Well, look, Giants defense is suspect.
Wow.
And the Giants offense is high powered. And when you look at Ezekiel
You mean
Elliott.
Cowboys
I'm
offense
sorry.
high-powered, yeah.
No, the Cowboys offense
Yeah.
is high
High-powered, yes.
That's right.
So
And
you're saying Molly is delusional here.
I'm not saying you're delusional, because I would never disrespect you like that. But I will tell you that the Giants have a lot to prove, whereas we know that the Dallas Cowboys offense is going to be potent.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you
they
go.
have nothing to prove because defense wins
nothing.
championships.
Well, defense
Oh,
wins
I thought this
championship,
was a quarterback-driven league.
but the Giants
When
don't
Eli
really
shows
have,
up, when we have good Eli,
Shows up? You mean the interception
he needs
leader?
more help than Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
goodbye, everybody. Enjoy.